Welcome to the Magnetically Aligned Woman. Walk into your power through self love, self worth, and authenticity. I'm so excited to have you here today. We have Renata Taravski. She is a straight talking soul guide, astrologer, naturopath, and witch. She is the bomb.com soul purpose expert who cuts through the spiritual fluff to deliver cosmic wisdom to you that you didn't even know you were searching for. She's the one and only soul alignment guide that helps people completely own who they are, what they want, and what they do without feeling bad about it. But what makes Renata a true master of her craft is her commitment to helping entrepreneurs, coaches, healers, and seekers confidently service the world and make money doing what they were born to do. I am so excited to have you, Renata. Thank you for joining us today.
Same. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to have a conversation with you and just share our nuggets of wisdom with the people.
I just want to dive right in because like when I first met you, it's just like your rebellious attitude. I wouldn't say like rebellious attitude. I just feel this like rebellious way of life, of just I do not follow what the world tells me to follow. I follow what I am called to do. And so I want to know a little bit more about like your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Okay, cool. So I'm currently 34, so it's important. Just give you little time posts and references. So I would say back in my 20s, maybe I was 19, 20, I was in university, and I was currently taking neuroscience because I thought I wanted to be a psychiatrist. And I remember feeling very like I was completely out of alignment. And what that looked like for me at the time was I was suffering with depression, social anxiety. I was struggling with an eating disorder because my life felt out of control. That food and exercise was what made me feel in control. Because I kind of felt like at a point in my time, I was breaking apart from different friends groups. And I felt like I didn't know who I was anymore and what I wanted. And I was going through the motions because of what was expected of that generation at that time. But inside, I was like so disconnected from what felt right to me. And that's why I feel like I was dealing with those like I was experiencing the depression, anxiety, and the eating disorder was kind of like my saving grace to keep maintain what I felt like is control. I also had a lot of IBS, and I would faint on my periods, and I would actually sometimes have seizures, hormonal seizures. It's a very rare condition. So that kind of my health at that point really led me to be like, hey, this isn't normal. And I've never had I had like anxiety as a kid, not like I had worry. I wouldn't say I struggled with anxiety or depression. So this was new to me. This all was new to me, was compounded at the same time, the seizures, the IBS, the anxiety, depression. So I'm studying neuroscience and I'm learning about these conditions. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like I'm now experiencing it. And it wasn't like the textbook student syndrome where you're like, you think you have every condition when you're learning it in medicine.
Yeah.
I remember booking an appointment with a doctor and being like, I'm not myself anymore. I'm studying this in neuroscience. I know that I am struggling with these things. And I was kind of presented with an option like, here's a pill. And I'm not against conventional medicine. People can choose what they want for their healing. But I knew I was like, I don't want to take that. That's not, there's something that happened here that got me to this point to feel this way. And then I ended up going to a counselor, didn't really resonate. And I was like, what is with our broken healthcare system? And a couple of days later, I was walking through a job fair and I stumbled across naturopathic medicine. And I never heard about this at the time. This was 14 years ago. I've never seen a naturopath, didn't know what it really was about, but reading like the short description, something in my soul was like, this is where you need to go. And at that time, I was a very pros and cons person. Even if all the pros outweighed the cons, but it felt wrong, I would do the pros, right? I was very logical in my process and I was against my intuition. But for the first time in my life, I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to pay for this because it was 20 grand Canadian a year plus boarding and everything. I don't know anything about this profession, but I know I have to go here. Because at that point, I was at a very low point that I was like, I have nothing to lose. So going through my naturopathic medicine schooling, I learned to heal my body. I had that like healing my hormones, healing my digestion, learning about true healing. I was able to resolve those feelings of depression and anxiety and get proper tools because it was like I just wasn't fulfilled in my life. And that's how it manifested. And then also healing that relationship I had with food and exercise because I didn't feel like I had to be in control all the time and I wasn't fearing the unknown. So I kind of had my start to my own personal healing journey. I thought it was going great. So I started practicing. I was like, I meant this is my purpose. I knew I was going to help people. I just didn't know how. And
Yeah.
it was my second year in practice full time. And I didn't have no business background, nothing. I just hustled. I tried stuff. I put myself out there. I wanted to like vomit and throw up and like faint all the time outside my comfort zone. Like I know I'm being graphic, but I just kept like pushing because I was like, I knew that I was like, I didn't know about selling. I just knew about healing. I don't know how to. So it was a huge learning curve. But at that 2-year mark, I started having a full schedule. And I remember looking at my schedule the one day in clinic, and every slot was full. And I was like, damn, I made it. Like I have 30 patients a week. This is the goal. I hustled. I had no training. I tried. Had no background. I felt very proud. I thought I should have felt proud. But instead of feeling proud, I was 10 pounds. I gained 10 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
I had this weird rash on my face. My IBS was back with a vengeance and my anxiety was next level. Like I couldn't go into work. Like the moment I would turn my car in the parking lot, my heart would start racing. I'd walk up the stairs. I would be shaking to the clinic. And I was like, what the hell is happening? Like I thought I made it. And that's when this like epiphany appeared where I was like, something's missing. And when I was getting presented in clinic a lot, and by the way, I was like secretly super woo back then too. Like I was like studying chakras, the energy, quantum physics, but I was still like, okay, these are the foods you need to eat and let's do your lab work. And I was very physical because I was still afraid to own that woo woo side of me that I
Mm-hmm.
was obsessed with. And that naturally just came really easily to me. So then eventually I was just like, I can't do this shit anymore. And I kept getting patients presented to me who were hated their jobs, hated their relationships. I'm like, I can't supplement a shitty relationship. I can't acupuncture you out of a job you hate. And I
Mm-hmm.
was actually counseling them on how to align with themselves. So, I made a really risky, bold move. And this is where my rebelliousness comes out, where I was like, hey, I can't keep being here anymore. I'm still practicing at a clinic I was from the very beginning. And I love that place. And I still love natural medicine. But part of me was like, my journey doesn't stop here. And then I kind of started working with different healers. I got certified in yoga. I got certified in Reiki. I started studying astrology very seriously. And then I was like, if I'm going to go big, I'm going home. So I took all the courses, did all the personal development, like went through like the depths of my soul and back, because I was like, if I'm going to do this, like I can't go halfway. And then that kind of trickled into my alignment coaching and astrology business, which I'm doing today. So it was through those twists and turns and little stops along the way that really brought me to where I am today.
Oh, I love that. So, like, your path to alignment was a lot of trial and error. And then
Yeah.
you realize, like, oh, something else is missing. And so,
Yeah.
what is it that I'm missing? And you pursued it.
Yeah.
Um, so, for you now, like, what does alignment mean?
So a lot of the times alignment to me, it's a moment to moment phenomenon. Like my alignment at this moment will be very different than for tomorrow than it is yesterday. So it's like, am I being, doing, and speaking and feeling in a place that feels in alignment with my soul at this point in time? Because
Mm,
natural medicine was a point that was very aligned with me, naturopathic medicine, years ago. But then it's like we outgrow our alignment. Like I do feel like we have an intended purpose, but that's why I'm saying alignment is like a moment check-in saying, is this really aligned with where I'm at, what I value, what I believe, who I am at my core at this moment of time? Because we're always growing and expanding. So I don't think it's not a black and white situation.
mm. And
Yeah.
that's very powerful to recognize because, as you know, throughout my own journey as well, and I'm sure many people can resonate, is we're always searching for that purpose. We're always like, okay, what am I here to do? What am I here to do? And we think that it's an end goal, that
Mm-mm.
like this whole path is like one goal, and not being able to be happy in the moment, or not being able to accept and appreciate all the things that are happening in life right now, because we think like, oh, it has to be that one thing that will make me aligned. And so when you brought that up, it is so powerful to recognize, okay, alignment for me today may not look like alignment for me next week.
Mhm.
And you mentioned something that stood out. You mentioned the different aspects of being aligned, like the mental, the feeling. Can you share the breakdown of like what each category is?
Yeah. So when you're okay, I don't know if I'm getting it right. So, like an example of mentally alignment, physical alignment, emotional alignment, just so I get your question right.
Yeah, like you mentioned before, like, oh, the actions that you take, the feelings that you feel, all of these things,
Right.
it's all aligned. Can you share like what those categories are?
Yeah. So, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual and energetic alignment, right? So, and there's different alignments, so it's not just like one big alignment. There could be alignment in relationships, there can be you feeling in alignment with your physical body, there could be you feeling physically aligned with your mental well-being, emotional well-being, or your energetic well-being. Some can be in aligned in some areas of your life, so there could be alignment with your health, alignment with your business, alignment with your relationships. That's how I would kind of define it the best, because there isn't this ultimate alignment. Sometimes we could be like, I am aligned across the board. But chances are we're mostly out of alignment a lot. And it's about recognizing I'm out of alignment. How do I get myself back into alignment?
Mm.
So for example, if it's with my physical well-being, it's like, oh, I'm kind of sluggish. My energy sucks. Like I'm feeling good in my relationships and my business is good, but my like physical well-being is kind of like, what do I need to do to get back into alignment with feeling good? Because ultimately, the end vibration with alignment doesn't matter if it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, health, relationships, business, family. You feel good. Does it feel good? Does the energy feel good? Do you feel at ease? So that's just like a simple indicator that you've mastered or you've hit alignment in that particular area.
Wow, very powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Um, and I know you specifically teach people how to become aligned with their life.
Mhm,
Can you share like the different ways that you approach this process?
mhm. Yeah. So one of the ways I do is I work a lot on mindset, because you have to understand we're unconsciously programmed and there's a lot of things that we don't even know we're doing. So if we're not aware of the things that unconsciously we sabotage ourselves from pursuing, because a lot of times I'm going to be straight, we know what we want to do. Whether we want to admit it or not, we know deep down inside. We have reservations because I don't know if I have the expertise. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if it's too late. I don't know if I'm too young. I don't know if I'm too old. I don't know what my mom's going to say. I don't know what my boyfriend's going to say. I don't know what that person from high school I don't give a shit about is going to say. So I just going to be, I've been doing this for years. Deep down inside, if I'm like, I got to grant you one wish and I'll give you whatever you want. What is it right now? People are going to, if the genie came, they're going to tell you what they want. The problem is your programming isn't in alignment with you in that lifestyle, because we have been programmed from the ages of 0 to 7. And if you're a past life believer and then you got that past life karma kind of affecting your being, we have so much stuff that we don't actually choose to believe. We just download it from 0 to 7 because we're predominantly operating from our unconscious consciousness. So then it depends on what you've been exposed to in your schooling, your family, your friends, the music, just the marketing back then, and what you made things mean at that age conditions you. So I firstly always say to people, you want to work on getting in alignment, you have to work on your unconscious limiting beliefs, because it doesn't matter if you will always sabotage and go back to that system of believing or living in alignment with your programming. So I always say to people, usually when you keep like, you're like, oh, I'm going to do the thing, I'm going to pursue my truth, I'm going to speak my truth, but then you sabotage or you get sick or something happens, that's because your programming will revert you back to, no, we only operate in this playing field. Does that make sense?
It does, because that's
Yeah.
your level of safety. Like you
Yeah.
establish that safety as a child. And so you
Yeah.
kind of carry that unconsciously into the future. And when you mentioned from 0 to 7, I've been studying the gene keys recently
Mhm.
that says you've actually been conditioned from 0 to 21, like
Oh,
up
wow.
until the age of 21.
Yeah, I can see
And
that.
like it is incredible to see, because as we are growing as human beings, it's like we continue to like take in information, but then we never take the time to kind of sit down and say, is this what I believe in?
Mhm.
Is this what truly defines me as a person? And I didn't realize this until like 2 years ago. Like
Oh,
that was how serious it was, you know? And some people don't realize this until they're 40,
yeah,
50, 60, stuck in relationships that they hate, stuck in jobs that they hate, and stuck in a repetitive pattern that causes physical illness, that causes all of these things, and wonder like, why can't medicine fix me? Why
mhm,
can't I, I'm doing all the right things. I'm doing. That's the
yeah,
thing also I'm doing.
mhm,
But then reconnecting to that whole spiritual, emotional, mental aspect too. So
yeah.
what you brought up makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I've had the opportunity to see that earlier on in my naturopathic practice in my mid 20s. So, seeing people that if they don't really believe in the work, I could give you all the supplements and everything, but your beliefs, your thoughts will affect your physiology, and they will affect your actions and therefore affect your life.
Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Can you share can you share some examples as to uh how this shift happened for you personally, or like for maybe a really clear example of how the shift works in something very common like relationships or the money mindset, or transitioning out of career.
Okay, so for me, I guess I could use my personal example in career, right? Because when I wanted to pursue, even though my soul was like, I really want to go over here, I kept sabotaging putting things out there. I would actually have visceral responses. Like I would have like anxiety because if I'm outside my comfort zone, your body's like, whoa, 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 whoa. We don't do this, Renata. So I would say I want to launch like an alignment workshop. I wouldn't market anything because like, oh, no one wants to come. No one signed up yet.
Mm.
So I would continuously sabotage because deep down inside, I'm like, who are you to do this? No one's going to pay for this. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're not perfect. How is this going to make you money? Right. So it's like, oh, wow. But I keep sabotaging because I actually don't have the proper tools. And it doesn't matter if I learn how to build my email list or learn how to market myself. If I don't believe that way, I'm not going to show up. I'm always going to make excuses. I'm going to sabotage. I'm not going to respond back to clients or put myself out there continuously. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, when I was transitioning between jobs, I was in quite a dilemma because a lot of people were like, "So you're gonna leave being a doctor full time, an naturopathic doctor full time, to be like a coach and like a spiritual guy? Like, are you insane?" So I had to deal with that belief because even though I was going full in and studying, my foot was like I was half in and out half the time because I was like, "Oh, I don't know if this is gonna be like financially stable, or am I wasting all that money? It doesn't feel aligned, but people keep judging me." And like, do you see what I'm saying? So that's kind of like the push and pull. And I realized it was like, oh, I have so much programming of what success means. My family, my dad's an engineer, my brother works at the bank. Like, it's like you get a job, you climb the corporate ladder, you have security, you have benefits, you have a pension. Where I was not even knowing, responding from that ingrained belief that I can't be successful being an entrepreneur because that's not how I saw success growing up. And until I worked out all that and decided, that's not true, and like healed my inner beliefs about that, then I was actually able to make such a huge shift because I was committed. Because before I was flip flopping. And a lot of times in alignment, if you're not committed to something and you're half in and half out, you can't get results because you're not fully committed and clear to the thing you're attaining. So I hope that kind of gave you a question on how that experience was for me when I was kind of figuring out my alignment in my career and all the stuff that was in my space. A few of the things, there was a lot more, but
Amazing. So one of the biggest things I took from that was like the clarity and the commitment to be all in, and that's what really propelled you forward. And the example that you gave, I find myself connecting to that in a different aspect. Like for me, it was definitely career that I struggled in, and realizing, the funny thing is, I grew up in an entrepreneurial space. Like my parents were entrepreneurs and very, very successful entrepreneurs. But they always told me, you have to do the traditional path, and that's what they considered successful because that's something they didn't have. And so my subconscious belief was that like I had to please my parents to be considered successful, to be considered like I made it, like this is the American dream, right? And yet a part of me was like, I want to be an entrepreneur. So I did also experience like so many setbacks in my business. I didn't show up. I was scared to sell to people. Like there was so many things that I did, but and realizing, it was in our two very very similar and yet such different circumstances, those subtle conditionings affect the outcome of what we want to create in our lives. And wow, yeah.
Me too, because my dad, like, even like I grew up and I went to a Catholic school, so like the woo-woo world, like I was worried actually people wouldn't take me seriously. So I was also dealing with like I don't want people to think I'm crazy or weird. So I had a lot of that to heal and be like, it doesn't matter what people view of you, it matters how you view yourself. So that was another layer that really was like in my space. Because I was considered the smart one and now I'm the woo-woo one. Like I don't like it's shattering my identity. So it was really about learning like who am I without my labels and my titles.
Wow, and that this brings me to like the title that I have right now, which is like walk into your power through self-love, self-worth, and authenticity. Can you share a little bit about like how each of those resonate with you, like each of those words?
Self-love,
Self-love, self-worth, and authenticity.
self-love. Self-love is, I think, a little, some of them can sometimes be very elusive to people. Like sometimes people are like, what does that mean? And I'm still, I guess, creating a relationship with those definitions. They're always changing. But for right now, I'll say self-love is like accepting myself regardless of my imperfections. Like in an example of self-love is like, for example, like when I told you earlier, like I screwed up my life. And it's like, God, Renata, who cares? Like you're human. It's fine. Like it's okay to like make mistakes or whatever that is. Self-love to me also is truth. And it kind of blends in with authenticity. So I kind of blend in authenticity and self-love with being in integrity with myself. Because authenticity, a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm going to just share, because there could be some authenticity shit gone wrong, pardon my French, online, where people think like oversharing is like being authentic, where I'm like, that's not, there's like a very specific flavoring of that. And I think for me, authenticity and self-love have to do with honoring my truth. That is like what it means to me. So it is like that compassion piece, but it's also saying, am I operating from my truth? And that also changes. And being okay with that changing. Because I look back at certain things, I'm like, oh, I said that, but I'm like, at the time, that was me being as authentic I was at that point and moment in time. Okay, so that's where that self-love, compassion piece can come in. But self-worth is interesting because it's so subjective, right? But for me, self-worth is again kind of in combination with the self-love piece. Like I feel like sometimes they can be intermeshed and there's a lot of similarities. But when it comes to self-worth, again, that is a moment-to-moment check-in too, right? And it's very different depending on your relationships and honoring. I think it's honoring your boundaries as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And am I cutting myself short right now? Right? And in business, it could be with prices or it could be with boundaries. Like I'm not honoring what I bring to the table. And these are still things that I'm growing with and like evolving from self-love, self-worth, authenticity. But I think to summarize that, it's self-worth is, am I valuing myself? And why am I not valuing myself? What's in my space? What do I need to heal, or what's something I need to grow, or what's something I need to address in terms of what's in my space of valuing myself and valuing others? And the self-love and authenticity, sorry, I just kind of rambled full circle, is, am I in alignment with my truth?
Mm-hmm. Wow, powerful. Um, I find that like what you shared, what I heard from that is everything comes back to you and how you feel like what you deserve, what you have created boundaries for, and what you're no longer like tolerating. Basically, it's like this is where I'm at. This is my boundary. I deserve to have blank, blank, and blank. And standing in your truth, standing in alignment with what you want to create from that point forward. Um, when you mention like well, I mentioned boundaries because that's what I got from what you shared. Boundaries are so important because when you break your own boundaries, when you break your own truth, and you keep allowing that to happen, that's when the alignment kind of like you fall
Yeah,
off the path of alignment. It's
yeah,
like, why are things not happening for me? And it's because like, did you break your own boundaries? Did you say like, I'm no longer going to accept this price in my business? And yeah, you're like, oh, okay, I'll accept it this one time. And it's like, oh no, you were not aligned with that because you were aligned originally with, this is the price I'm going to set and this is what I'm going to do to move forward.
yeah.
Mm,
I do think, yeah, they all tie in together, right? They're all connected. I don't feel like it's separate. Yeah, 100%.
thank you for sharing that. Can you share with us like maybe 3 tips and tricks that people can use to help find alignment in their lives, or start on their journey to alignment?
Yeah, the first thing is getting really clear on your values, because a lot of times we act out of alignment with our values. It's a simple exercise, but if you are like clear on what your top values are, and then you ask yourself, am I in this relationship like, oh, they didn't, this is not even in alignment with any of my 5 values. You have to choose then. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You can't keep blaming the other people. So I feel, or why you keep committing to these things that are so out of alignment with your values? And I feel just getting clear on your values and then seeing where you're not honoring them gives you a lot of like, oh, wow. And that can give change in itself when you have awareness to that. So getting clear on your values and seeing where you're out of alignment with them. Secondly is alignment. Like I said, in its most basic form, it feels good. It feels like you feel good. You feel like in flow or connected or whatever that means. But for you to be in alignment, you have to ask yourself, how do I want to feel? That's the second one. How do I want to feel? Do I want to feel confident? And like, I play around with how I want to feel. And I kind of reflect back on this every 6 months. Like sometimes I want to feel like a divine, like spirit animal. And then other times I'm like, I want to be like, I want to feel proud. Right. So what are your core feelings? And then what can I do to feel the way I want to feel? Because a lot of times we're like, oh, until I get that thing, then I'll feel that way. No, 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 no. It's the other way around. You have to start feeling that way now. And then you'll start to be like, this is not in alignment with the way I want to feel. And then again, you get to choose. Okay. So getting clear on how you want to feel and then asking yourself, where am I engaging with things or doing things that don't align with that? Or what can I do to feel that way? Getting clear on your values and seeing where you're out of alignment with your values. And then the third thing when it comes to getting in alignment, like again, I'm biased, but finding and working with your astrology is so phenomenal to seeing kind of your cosmic blueprint. And I've done hundreds of readings up to this point, and I see with people, when you know kind of your soul's blueprint through astrology, and I'm sure it's the same in human design and there's other numerologies.
Yeah.
I'm just using astrology. I'd be a millionaire if I had $1 for every time someone said this. They're like, I felt that in my soul. And it's just a confirmation. And I'm telling you, astrology was a pivotal point to the next phase of my career. Because when I had this one reading and someone was reading stuff that I was like, there's no chance that you can know that about me. And it's like, I've been feeling this way for my life. And it's like, it gave me permission. And I'm not saying we should be looking for anyone for permission, but I'm going to call a spade a spade. Sometimes we want confirmation, even though we know.
Yes.
And when I work with my astrology, like when I'm working with key components in my astrology chart to support my healing, my karmic lessons, etc., things just move more smoothly. And when I can kind of embrace my strengths and then also have compassion for maybe the parts of myself that I need maybe to hire someone else to help me with or whatever. So I feel those 3 things, if you do all those 3 things, like huge changes in helping you get into alignment with your soul's path, 100%.
That is very powerful because what you shared in terms of like values, it cuts out the BS.
Yeah.
It really does. It helps you say yes to all the things that you already know. that you were saying yes to. And then anything outside of those values, it's an absolute like no. Like, it's compromising, it's wasting time, it's not going to align regardless. You're going to feel bad if you went after it anyways.
Yeah.
And just saving you that time. Just no, right?
Yeah.
And, and that second part of being aligned with feelings, like this is such a pivotal thing.
Yeah.
Being aligned in your emotions. How do I want to feel today? And create your day based on that feeling. And oftentimes, we get this so much, especially when I was doing my 9 to 5. I'd be like, oh, I don't want to go to work. And can you imagine that's the feeling I had the first thing in the morning?
Yeah.
And so everything else created from that feeling and the rest of the day is, oh, what a drag. Oh,
Yeah.
this. But if you start saying like, today I am intentionally want to feel happy. So the little things that like come my way, like, oh, this is a customer that's like triggering me so much. I'm no longer like, I'm like, just like, let's be at peace because I chose to be happy today.
Yeah, if I'm feeling at peace, how do I have to respond if I want to feel peace right now? Do I attack them back or do I take some deep breaths
Mm.
and separate myself from what they're saying? Yeah, that is a perfect example of that.
Beautiful. And then the last part when you say like use a tool to support you, such as astrology, I'm like vibrating from like the energy exchange over here because the human design is partly based on astrology as well. And so when you talk about there are certain things that are blueprinted in you from your birth, those are non-negotiable truths. So understanding the basics of who you are as a human being just allows you to be comfortable in those aspects instead of constantly questioning like, is this who I am?
Yep.
Who, like, what am I supposed to do? It just creates that like solid foundation of, I know I was born with these gifts and
Mhm.
now I get to expand on these gifts.
Mhm.
And so yes, thank you for sharing that with us,
Yeah, for
Renata.
sure. Yeah, it changed my life. Like it really was a pivotal point. And whether I'm biased because I'm an astrologer, I'm just sharing my truth.
Oh my God, no, you're not biased at all. I feel that way about human design and the gene keys because they all relate to astrology and like how we are born as unique human beings. We are not meant to fit in a box
Mhm.
of other people. And we have certain gifts and then we have certain weaknesses that we just don't vibe with. And why waste your time trying
Build
to
weakness
do
and
that?
compromise the strength. I know it's insane. Yeah, but that's what we do in the world. We try to work on all to make us ourselves perfect with being like, this is what I'm good at, this is what I'm not good at. That's okay. I know how to address my shortcomings.
Mm,
Hmm.
powerful. And I know you have something special to offer the audience today. Can you share that with us as well?
Yeah, for sure. So it's my free alignment starter kit. So it's the 10 steps to help you get in alignment with your soul's purpose so that you can start servicing the world the way you were born to. And it's about 18 pages and it kind of shared a little bit about what I talked about today, minus the astrology. But if you want to build on those exercises of what I shared, it's a really good starting tool to help you start to get clarity and into alignment with what you're here to do.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And for everyone who is listening, I will include the link below, like I always do. Thank you so much, Renata, for being
Yeah,
here.
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It has been a pleasure. And for everybody else who is tuning in today, I can't wait to see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now.